Hi, everyone. Council President Larry Hushour here tonight. And tonight we are starting with a public hearing. We actually have two public hearings tonight. The first one, and I'll call to order the public hearing for 2020-2. This is a proposed text amendment, an ordinance to amend Part 2 of the Code of the Town of Mt Airy entitled General Legislation, Chapter 112 entitled Zoning, Article 6 entitled Provisions Governing Industrial Districts, and Section 112-45 entitled Industrial District. Okay, and we may have gotten a couple emails in, and as well, we will take public comment via Facebook, and we have a staff member who is screening that as well. Holly, did we have any letters on this?
We had one email that was received, and then Ron Thompson is on the Zoom call with us. I believe he's going to speak as well. Did you want me to go ahead and read the email?
Ron, did you have some opening comments? If you did, then I'll give you the floor for a minute.
Thank you. This text amendment was put forth because we have the industrial park is, Twin Arch Business Park is nearing being full, or lots being committed for development. As part of that, there really isn't a place for people to go get a quick lunch or a cup of coffee early in the morning without having to get in the car and drive a ways outside of the industrial park. Lot 16A, which is a proposed business use that we will be submitting shortly. We got caught up a little bit in COVID-19 and some of the delays going on there. They have a business that they work with that actually has a small restaurant diner and wishes to move out of Frederick with them into the industrial park in Mt Airy. So we proposed an amendment that has a opportunity of a small restaurant diner. We put limitations on it, that it can't be more than 15% of the lot or no more than 3,000 square feet in order to contain the size of it. Obviously, a diner, restaurant in an industrial park is open early in the morning and midday begins to close up because there is no business at that point. Industrial workers generally come to work, are there before 7 o'clock, and are leaving by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So this amendment was put forth to the Planning Commission. It was unanimously approved to be recommended to the Town Council for consideration. And we ask that the Town Council consider the amendment and rule favorably to adopt this ordinance. If there are any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, that concludes my remarks.
All right, we may have some questions when we get into the actual meeting, and if we have questions at that point, we'll bring them up. Did the staff have anything that they wanted to add to what Mr. Thompson said?
Just like to add that Facebook is saying that they're having a hard time hearing, so if you could try to speak up.
Okay, we'll do so.
And one other, hey, Larry.
Yes.
Excuse me, Council President, did we lose Patty?
Where did she go?
She might be trying to log on her laptop.
Patty's having trouble getting in. It says that somebody needs to let her in.
Hey, Pat, you're mute.
I blocked Patty. I'm not letting her in.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We do have 4 members. We'll keep going, and hopefully Patty will be able to join us here shortly.
Excuse me.
Staff, and I guess I'm looking at John. Did you have anything to add to that, or you want to just press forward?
Well, again, I think that's pretty much. We did look at the ordinance closer today. Again, I think there were some small grammatical changes I think we'd like to make to the actual text, which I think we forwarded to you, Larry, also
Okay.
for you to present. I think it is a great asset for the community back there. For people, working in the industrial park, also Brittany Manor, and possibly the Twin Arch apartments there. But I would now go to Holly and get whatever additional comments we're getting from Facebook or from the emails that were sent out. I think the big question is about parking. And again, it's still going to have to meet the parking requirements through 112-50.1B10, which is, for off-street parking to support whatever the square footage that's allowed by town council. And that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Holly, you said we have one email on it. Could you please read the email?
Yes, the email is from Gary Fry. And his question says, Backacre Circle seems to have a very contentious parking situation. Will the council amend the proposed text amendment prior that the restaurant required parking guidelines apply? And then in quotes, he says 1 space for each 90 square foot gross floor area based of the restaurant, or 1 space for each 2 seats, whichever is greater. That is in the town code, maybe. So his question is referring to the parking guidelines.
Okay. And John, I think you just addressed that. Could you just hit the highlight of that one more time, and please remember to speak up?
Yeah, no worries. Again, it's in the town code. It's section 112-50.1-B-10. And again, it's basically exactly what Mr. Fry was alluding to. There's, excuse me, certain requirements. That's indoor dining area, and then there's one for outside dining area, which is 1 space for each 90 square foot of gross floor area of the building in which the restaurant is located, or 1 space for each 2 seats, whichever is greater. And again, it goes on to, to the outside dining area, which I don't think is proposed on that site plan that I know of. Again, I think some of the small modifications to the terminology, which we sort of conveyed to you, Larry. I didn't get a copy of that, what we actually drafted up with me today. So I could allude to Barney if he might have it written down already, or if, again, the subtle changes there. But
All right.
we'll have to go through the site plan approval process, and it'll have to meet those requirements during that.
Okay. I think in terms of the public hearing, I think you addressed the question. Gina, is there anything else that has come through on Facebook as far as comments go?
No, just that it sounds better. They're hearing it better. And thank you for having the Zoom meeting.
All right. Unless, Carl, you had something to add?
Yeah, just one question for Ron, for Mr. Thompson.
I'll ask you, Carl, is it a question that should be asked now, or a question that should be asked during the discussion?
Either or, we can ask it during the discussion. I mean, it's nothing. I just wanted clarification of where on Backacre Circle this location would be. So it's not sure if that's now or during the discussion.
That's okay. Ron, can you answer that, please?
This would be lot 16A. It would be on the portion of Backacre Circle that's currently being developed, that has Ultimate Electric building being constructed. It has the Keller building there. It is the last section of Twin Arch Business Park.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is the south side of Backacre Circle.
Yeah. Opposite of where all the contentious issues are going on.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Ron.
All right. Gina, Holly, are there any other comments? All right, then we will go ahead and adjourn this first public hearing. We will come back on at 7:15 for the public hearing concerning ordinance 2020-12 to adopt the tax rates for fiscal year 2020/2021 Unless anybody sees a reason not to go into recess, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, we'll see you again at 7:15. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Council President Larry Hushour here, and we are opening up our second public hearing of the evening. It is May 4th and 7:15. This public hearing concerns ordinance 2020-12 to adopt the tax rates for fiscal year 2020-2021. And we're going to start by having our town administrator, David Warrington, is going to explain a little bit about this ordinance.
Thank you. This is the constant yield tax rate. It's required, hearing required by the state of Maryland. And basically what it is it's announcing that we are keeping our tax rate the same. However, because of increases in assessment, there'll be a 2% increase in the revenues received. It's a simple equation with two variables, one being the tax rate, the other variable being the assessment amount. And when you multiply the two, in order to get them, there is a difference between them. And so the state requires us to go out and make this announcement that by keeping our rate the same, the increase in the assessments result in an increased yield of about $37,000 overall from all of the properties within the town of Mount Airy. And the state requires us to do this, and all the municipalities to do this, in order to ensure that residents are aware that there will be some slight increases, and usually it is with new businesses or new residents, because if your assessment has stayed the same, rate will stay the same, your amount will stay the same. So this is the constant tax rate. They require a public hearing, and I don't want to bore you with the 1,200,000, all the numbers, but that's it. The two variables are the rate and the assessment. When the assessment goes up, we're required by law to announce that the multiplication will end up with a greater amount of revenue or yield.
And Mayor, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think David did a great job. Our tax rate is the same and has stayed the same for at least a decade, probably longer. So we're not increasing your taxes. Your property values went up a little bit and we see a small increase. Good job, David.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Holly, Gina, have any emails come in?
None.
Have any Facebook comments come in?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got any comments on this? Questions? All right. Having said that, we will adjourn the public hearing for ordinance 2020-12 at this time. We will reconvene at 7:30 to commence the town council meeting. And so we'll see you at that time. Thank you. All right, Council President Larry Hushour here. It is the 4th of May, 2020. I'm going to look for a thumbs up from Councilman Poirier. Are we good to go? Okay. All right. Then we're going to call to order the Town Council meeting for May 4th of 2020. And let's see, we've had 2 public hearings so far. So we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me in that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you so much. Okay, a note for tonight, we have decided that ordinance 2020-16, which is a budget amendment to add $50,000 to the general fund for small business operating assistance micro grant. We have decided that that will be pulled from the agenda for tonight to allow some time to get a document together that the town council will be able to review and we'll see how it goes as far as if we need to have a special meeting to address that budget amendment, then we'll try to put that together. And I offered Councilwoman Reed a few seconds to speak on this matter if she would like to.
Yeah, so 2016, the actual final draft of the grant proposal was finished today, but we didn't have enough time to get it to town council prior to this meeting. So the ordinance will be sent to town council no later than tomorrow morning. And President Larry Hushour has agreed to hold an emergency meeting within 7 days so that we have an opportunity to discuss and review it.
Okay, thank you. I would put on there that it actually requires 3 council members, which I think we would be able to get to have that special meeting, or the mayor can call that meeting as well. So there are 2 possibilities to get that meeting done, just to be clear on that. So, okay. All right, there are no presentations this evening, and there are no speakers this evening. And next on the agenda, let me check here. Okay. Next on the agenda would be the approval of the April 2020 Town Council meeting minutes, as well as the March 2020 closed meeting minutes. And I would ask, is there a council member who can make a motion to approve those? All right, Councilmember Poirier has made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second Patty.
Okay, all right, Councilwoman Washabaugh had her hand up. And is there any discussion on this motion? All right, I won't do a roll call. I'll just say all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, and is anyone opposed? And I see no thumbs down and no no's. So those minutes are approved. We'll move on to the Mt Airy Police Chief's monthly report. Chief Doug, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Hushour. Chief reads the Mt Airy Police Department report. First of all, as far as trainings and information, there was no meetings for the police department due to the social distancing regulations this month. The police department is conducting online training through the MAPD Police One portal in order to complete their 18 hours of mandatory in-service training and the required coursework to maintain their certifications. As far as community outreach, the officers are continuing to work 12-hour shifts, providing 24/7 protection for the town of Mt Airy. The lobby of the station remains closed. Civilian staff are currently teleworking. The non-emergency phone number for the police department or for police services is 410-386-2860. And of course, for an emergency, dial 911. The emergency number will connect you directly to the Carroll County Communications Center for police dispatch, and they will dispatch our officers if there's any calls for service. For the month of April, the Mt Airy Police Department responded to 1,173 calls for service. This is a 17% increase from March of 2020. Looking back historically, from April of last year, it's a 41% increase. As far as traffic enforcement this month, we've had a total of 7 traffic stops. We issued 6 citations and 6 warnings. No equipment repair orders. There were no DUI arrests, and there were no other traffic arrests. As far as criminal enforcement, the department handled 4 Part 1 crimes. This was a 60% decrease in Part 1 crimes in comparison with March of 2020. So overall, it went down from March. However, it was a 33% increase in Part 1 crimes in comparison with April 2019. We handled 4 larceny complaints, and then one just regular three thefts, and then 1 shoplifting. And there were 7 Part 2 crimes. We made 17 criminal arrests. This was a 42% increase from March of 2020. And that consisted of 4 adult on-deal arrests. And we made 5 warrant apprehensions and served 7 summonses and 1 criminal citation. And that will be the police report if anybody has any questions.
Hey, Chief, I do. Councilman Munder here. just noticed could the increase in calls that you mentioned from April last year, could that be attributed to everyone being home more?
Well, a lot of that again is from the police department being a lot more proactive in patrol checks. Well, like I said, last month we're getting out, we're shaking doors, we're putting a lot of time into checking business establishments and so forth because we're not out doing the selective enforcement as far as traffic enforcement. We're trying to cut down the unnecessary contacts, but we're still out there patrolling and we're still taking care of business. So we're just trying to be smarter about how we go about things.
Cool. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for the chief? All right, we will set you free to move on about your business, chief. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, next is the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report. We have Bruce Walls online. Bruce?
Good evening. For the month of April, we had 78 rescue calls in Carroll, 23 in Frederick, 3 in Howard, and 2 in Montgomery, for a total of 106 rescue or EMS calls. Fire, we had 13 in Carroll, 7 in Frederick, 1 in Howard, and 1 in Montgomery, for a total of 22 calls, which resulted in 91 calls for service in Carroll, 30 in Frederick, 4 in Howard, and 3 in Montgomery for 128 calls for service. You will notice that that number is a little down from what we've experienced, and we've been seeing that happen throughout the stay-at-home order period and with the virus. We'd like to remind everyone, and the emergency room physicians are very concerned about this, that if you need an ambulance, if you feel you need to go to the hospital, do not hesitate to go to the hospital, and do not hesitate to call us for transport or evaluation. But one of the trends they're seeing is that people apparently are avoiding going into the hospital for serious conditions, and they can have unfortunate consequences. So I'd like to remind everyone, please, if you need an ambulance, if you need to go to the hospital, please do so. They have protocols in place to make it safe for you to visit the emergency department. I'd like to thank everyone in the community that has been supporting the fire company. We now have an online donation portal. Also, the many businesses that have bought food and other items to the station, that's greatly appreciated. I wanted to give you an update quickly on our ladder truck, and I was hoping for some positive news, but unfortunately, like everything else, there are delays. We had anticipated getting the truck in the June-July timeframe, but the factory in Florida has been hit with COVID, as well as they're having problems with their suppliers. So we're hopeful what they've told us or what we're planning on would be sometime maybe September. So we'll keep you posted on that, and hopefully that'll work out, and we'll get our truck and get it in service. That pretty much concludes my fire department report. And if I could just quickly put on my Board of Elections hat for the council, you probably have received or will be receiving your mail-in ballot as we do a mail-in primary election. I'd like you to watch that process, talk to your constituents, see if it's something they feel comfortable with, because it's something we could consider. Hopefully we won't have to do one in May that way, but it may be a way to increase voter turnout in the town if we went with the mail-in as well as an in-person voting. So it's just something to consider. And again, just if you could talk it up and get some feedback to me, I'd appreciate that as we move forward. We haven't made any decisions or anything along that line, but this gives us a unique opportunity to see how that process works. So that concludes my report.
I think the mayor has a question. Go ahead, please.
No, just to add a little bit on the mailer process, I was very excited. Actually, Tony Burke from the Messenger sent it over where they were doing this in other areas, and it looked very exciting, a great way to increase our voter turnout. At MML, it became a big topic of discussion, and Rockville actually did the mailer process. It turned out that it was very, very expensive. There were some people that are very concerned about it and whether it actually works and how they verify. I'm personally very concerned. I saw the signatures are on the outside of the envelopes that can easily be copied. I'm shocked that they did that. But again, it sounded to me like an exciting process, Bruce, but after hearing more and more about it and the expense, we actually do have absentee voter process, and that may be a better way to go, promote the absentee process a little bit more. But yeah, keep an open mind.
Yeah, I share your concern about the envelopes being marked so there'd be any way to identify an envelope. I think that's a problem. But again, this is all new and we're just looking at possibilities.
Yes.
Our main concern is to get more people interested in voting.
Yes.
And even online voting is another possibility. So we're just things to consider. And but we have this unique opportunity to get some feedback, and that's what
online voting sounds really good. I haven't heard about that, but that sounds.
Well, I think, Billy, that's what Rockville was doing.
They had actual mailers.
Okay.
They had physical
I heard
mailers.
that they were going to do online, and we were interested in that. So something to consider.
Yeah, they may have did both, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if there's anything further, then I'll lead the meeting.
Well, I would just add on there, we're talking about an election that's a year away, in case there's anybody who's tuned in and isn't aware of our election cycle. You got to wait a year before you throw the bums out.
Good clarification, Councilmember.
All right. Did anyone else have anything for Bruce? It doesn't sound like it. So thank you very much for your report, Bruce.
All right, everybody stay safe.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Okay, community concerns and citizen comments. Has anything come in, Gina or Holly, in that regard?
No.
Just as I mentioned earlier about a public hearing comment from our first public hearing.
Okay, we'll address that when we get to the ordinance. So, okay. All right, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. We got ordinance 2020-1, which is the MXD mixed use development, amending Article 8, special exception for reintroduction and to schedule the public hearing. Would someone like to reintroduce it? Okay, Councilwoman Reed, you're muted, but we did acknowledge that you are reintroducing. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Councilmember Munder is seconded, and we will schedule a public hearing. I'll make the assumption everybody's okay with before the next town council meeting. We can set this up for 7:15. May end up taking a little bit longer. If it does, we'll bleed a little bit into the meeting to cover it. Is everyone okay with that? Looks like everyone is. So Holly, if you'll make a note that we're going to have a public hearing on MXD prior to the June council meeting. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is ordinance 2020-2, the proposed text amendment, restaurant industrial zone. This is for adoption. And let's get it in, and then we'll have Gina read the comment that came out after the public hearing. So would someone like to move to adopt that? Okay, we got Councilmember Poirier has moved to adopt that ordinance. Is there a second on that? Councilwoman Washabaugh was unmuted, so she beat out Councilmember Reed. Okay, so now we're into the discussion part. Gina, would you like to read that comment first?
Sure. From Gary Fry, with regard to 2020-2, does the council understand that this is an ordinance change that would apply to the entire industrial park? Yes, Vanmar has a specific application in mind. The change to town code could allow a restaurant in the center stage building without any code change if the ordinance is not.
Shut off.
All right. John, can you speak to that? You're muted.
I see, I didn't hear the full question. I'm sorry, Gina. I heard something else in the background.
Okay, with regard to 2020-2, does the council understand that this is an ordinance change that would apply to the entire industrial park? Yes, Vanmar has a specific application in mind. The change to town code could allow a restaurant in the center stage building without any code change if the ordinance is not amended.
The center stage building, I'm not sure what that building is, but if it's in the
That's it.
industrial zone, then yes, this would allow any single parcel possibly to have some type of an establishment. Again, it would allow for that. Barney also has a comment.
Yeah, as an example for center stage, that would be a change of use. If they added a restaurant there, a change of use would spark a site plan requirement. So then we would let them know that they would have to add parking to make up for that. So to alleviate that concern, maybe.
All right, so that's the trigger would be anybody who is requesting a cafeteria or something along those lines that would be a change of use throughout any building in the industrial zone, because right now there is nothing in the industrial zone as far as food service goes. True?
Correct. And that would have to go through planning commission and their approval process.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Barney, question here. Quick question. We're specifically talking, I mean, I know that the ordinance is for, say, the Twin Arch area, but over, I want to say on the Frederick County side, we have that industrial area too. Would that be classified, if somebody wanted to put a restaurant in there too, would that be considered change of use in one of the existing buildings there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if they wanted to add that, it would just get reevaluated to make sure they have enough parking. If they don't, they would have to show how they would provide it.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it was applied to all the industrial areas equally. So, okay.
Okay, other council members, anybody else got comments on this? Doesn't look like it. My question is, initially I was reading it, and I'm not sure if you can speak to this either, John or Barney, but I just want to make sure that you were talking about, when I read the first line of it, restroom or lunchrooms that do not exceed 15% of the total lot or parcel. I was wondering why it was lot and parcel as opposed to building. The structure that they're putting on the building, because the parcel's huge, but the building is not so large. It could only take up half of that or something. So are we dealing with the lot and parcel or the building size?
So, and I was just talking to Ron just recently. We talked about whether we should change that to building size, but they mentioned that one particular instance, they might have a 12,000 square foot building, and 3,000 square foot would be more than 15%. So they would prefer to keep that as 15% of the lot size.
Okay, does that, you feel that protects the town?
Yeah, I think that's fine. The second part was a little, the more I read it, the second part seemed to be a little open-ended.
The 3,000 square feet, my concern about that is what if they do like two separate cafeterias in the building? Is there wiggle room in this as it's written?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it sound like they could put two or three that are just under 3,000 square feet each. And pretty much the whole building could be nothing but restaurants, the way it's written.
All right, so do you got a recommendation on a way to protect us against that? Maybe we could amend this here at the table and keep ourselves from that scenario.
Yeah, just for the second part, maybe read, does not exceed a total of 3,000 square foot of building area. Rather than say, per use, just say restaurants or lunchrooms that do not exceed 15% of the lot or parcel and does not exceed a total of 3,000 square feet of building area.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, that would address my concern. I don't, I think I'd like to ask to amend the motion to the verbiage that Barney just gave, which I think was the first part of that all stays the same, and then 3,000 square feet, not to exceed the, how did you have it, the building size, or?
Does not exceed a total of 3,000 square feet of building area.
Okay, 3,000 square feet of building area.
And I think
Now, are you on page 2 under B15?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that would be good. And I have a question after, we make sure that verbiage that you just gave us was, amended and approved by everyone.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Who made the initial motion? Okay.
Jason moved it in. Patty seconded it.
Jason did. Yeah, I seconded it. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Can we amend your motion, Jason, with that verbiage?
Does she want to ask her question in case it relates to something else, and then I will amend everything?
Okay. Go ahead, Patty.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure, because I was having problems getting into the public hearing and the audio portion of the public hearing. So are there any issues relating to parking? Because parking is a very, very big contentious issue over in that area. So is there going to be enough parking for people to drive over there and get their breakfast or lunch, or?
Yeah, if you want me to answer that, yes, that would be part of the site plan process. And they would have to follow the code that shows X amount of parking for that size of the restaurant.
Okay.
As well, I think, Barney, correct me if I'm wrong, but your statement about a change of use would trigger them to meet the parking requirements for a cafeteria or a restaurant because it's a change of use, correct?
Yes, correct. For an existing building that wants to add a restaurant, yes.
Okay. All right.
Good. Okay. I want to make sure that we definitely look at that very closely. So that's the end of my question.
Okay.
Does the applicant for the text amendment, Mr. Thompson, agree to the change?
Yes. I mean, our intent was one restaurant on a lot or parcel. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ron. Tom, is this too significant a change, or is this okay? Yes.
No, I think that this is okay. I did just want to make sure I got it correctly so that I can change the ordinance for signature. So B15 the proposal is that B15 would read as follows: restaurants or lunchrooms that do not exceed 15% of the lot or parcel and do not exceed 3,000 square feet of building area?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
With that clarification, I will amend my motion, provided what Tom just read.
Okay, and Councilwoman Washabaugh, do you second that?
I do.
All right, is there any more discussion on this? Not seeing any. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so that's a unanimous vote. So in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next series of ordinances, which would be 2020-6 all the way through 2020-11, are budget amendments. And is Charlene still on here? If she's willing to speak for just a second, and we will go through them individually, but I just wanted her to explain that this is an accounting issue to get us through the fiscal year. Charlene, could you chime in for a second or two?
Sure. These are all budget amendments for really large projects that we were hoping to do in fiscal year 2020. And it looks like they're going to be delayed till 2021. So we have made these projects are in the 2021 budget. So we want to take them out of the 2020 budget. So it doesn't look like we didn't get this moving forward. It's just a bookkeeping adjustment. It does amount to a lot of money, and that's why we want to take it out of the budget.
Okay, thank you. And these were all introduced last month, so they're for adoption tonight. And the first one is ordinance 2020-6, a budget amendment to remove $525,000 for rails to trails east of Main Street. This is for adoption. I'll move it in for approval. Is there a second on that? All right, Councilmember Munder seconds. Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous. Ordinance 2020-7, budget amendment to remove $637,426 for rails to trails west of Main Street for adoption. And again, I'll make a motion to approve that. Is there a second on that one? Okay, Councilwoman Washabaugh seconds. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No, so that one's unanimous. Ordinance 2020-8, budget amendment to remove $580,000 for Watkins Park Inclusive Playground Project for adoption. Would someone like to motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
Councilwoman Reed has made that motion. Is there a second? Councilmember Poirier seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Ordinance 2020-9, budget amendment to remove $680,000 for Windy Ridge Park access for adoption. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that? Got Councilmember Poirier was quick with the finger. Is there a second on that one?
I'll second.
Councilmember Munder has seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, ordinance 2020-10 is a budget amendment to remove $800,000 for the Twin Ridge Stormwater Management Project for adoption. I'll make a motion to approve that. Is there a second on that one?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Washabaugh is seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, and that is unanimous. Okay, last one on this is ordinance 2020-11, budget amendment to remove $344,000 $500 for the elevated water storage tank number 2 repainting project for adoption. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that? Councilmember Poirier. And looks like Councilwoman Washabaugh has seconded that. And is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, no one's opposed. It is unanimous. And now we're down to ordinance 2020-12, which is to adopt the tax rates for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. And this is for adoption. Let me get my papers reorganized here, clear out some stuff. Okay. All right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the tax rates? Okay, Councilmember Poirier has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ooh, so close. We'll give it to Councilwoman Washabaugh. We're into discussion. I would ask, have any more comments come in since the public hearing? It looks like nothing has come in. Is there any further discussion by any of the council members, or does the mayor or town administrator want to make a comment at all at this point? I see head shaking no. All right.
Bobbleheads.
Okay. All right. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, so that was unanimous. Okay. All right, we're down to ordinance 2020-13, which is to adopt the budget for fiscal year 2021 for introduction and to schedule a public hearing. Would someone like to introduce the budget? Okay, Councilmember Poirier is introduced. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Munder has seconded, and now we need to set a public hearing. We can set that one for 7 o'clock next month, if everyone's okay with that. I see one thumbs up. Everybody good? Okay. All right, so we'll be here at 7 o'clock again with 2 public hearings for next month. Okay. All right. All right, moving on to resolution 2020-5. This is the allocation of available water and sewer capacity yield among allocation categories pursuant to the town code. This is for adoption, and I will move that we pass resolution 2020-5. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, we're into discussion. And does anyone have any questions other than I got 1 or 2? So go ahead if someone else does.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I have a couple.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay. I guess this would be directed towards Barney, because I guess Barney knows more about all these, all the detailed information that's here. But basically, I was just trying to get a grasp of this. So it looks like every 2 years, we come back and we take a look at the water allocations. And I saw that basically what happens is you get descriptive on where those allocations will be. Is that a correct assumption, Barney?
Yes, we keep tracking of, where our water is going. And every time somebody comes in, they have a new use and we're using water. We have a log of that, and that kind of shows which categories they're pulling from. So it's drawn down a couple of the categories, but go ahead.
Okay. And I saw that you now have Chick-fil-A in there. If that gets approved, just was wondering, what was the difference in the water allocations between Chick-fil-A and Pizza Hut?
This 775 gallons a day is the difference. I don't have what each one is individually, but that is the difference. So that's how much we're adding.
Okay, so Chick-fil-A will actually be using a lot more water than what Pizza Hut used.
Correct.
Okay. And I saw that Rail Yard is not in here anymore for allocation. So is that project not being reviewed at this time?
We don't have any current plans for it right now, so I think that's why it's not in there.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
My only questions were, I mean, it looks like kind of a significant difference between, and I appreciate you providing us with the 2018 document to take a look at. And when I looked at it, it looks like there is a big difference in redevelopment and revitalization, as well as expansion of existing commercial and industrial use. Does that kind of go back to what Councilwoman Washabaugh brought up?
Yeah, those two categories are the categories we see more of our water going towards that are actually getting used. So those numbers are going down. So I think we added 5,000 to each of those.
Okay.
Took it from the number one category priority area.
Okay. Okay. All right. Copy. So any other questions? Okay. And John, it looked like, of course, this went to the Planning Commission. Any problems at the public hearing, or did planning was cool with the way this was drafted?
Yeah, it was a unanimous motion to forward to the town council for approval.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And is anyone opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay. All right, and as I said earlier, in case you tuned in late, ordinance 2020-16 was pulled from the agenda to allow some time to further improve the program and present it to all the council members so that we would have some time to review and potentially have a special or an emergency meeting. The council, provided we meet all the criteria for that, when it is drafted and we have time to review it. And, so that's where we're at on that. Is there any unfinished business? Nothing on the agenda, so probably good on that. New business, nothing on the agenda. So we are down to mayor and council reports, and we'll start with Mayor Rockenberg report and any commission appointments. You're going to have to unmute.
Thank you, Council President Hushour. You're doing a great job chairing this meeting. Team, Jason, thank you very much. It's nice to see this working out so well. I once again want to thank staff for doing such a fantastic job doing all the Facebook posts. I do encourage the town residents to go out and to look at the Facebook posts. In addition to those posts, we're also running ads in the messenger to reach people that are not on social media. We've had one mailer, and we'll look at doing another mailer to keep everybody up to date on resources and law changes and executive orders that are coming down. I'm excited to announce that part of our outreach is going to be to our seniors that are locked in. And Larry, I think you've got a email today on a date, but we're probably going to do a quick drive through Wildwood to wave to our seniors, check on them, see how they're doing. I want to remind people that as we slowly start to open, which I would anticipate coming fairly soon, or at least very minimum, that you still remember to please social distance. Please, let's not move this too quickly. Please practice wearing masks, washing hands, everything that we've been taught before, so we can keep the, so we can start opening up, because if we start overloading, we're just going to throw ourselves back. So please be cautious as we start to open up, when we start to open up, which I expect is very soon. I did receive Council President Larry and Councilwoman Pam have addressed the process with the businesses and some assistance. I just want the businesses to know, thank you. I did receive your letters, and I would thank all the council members for their willingness to sit down and to look at some options to help our businesses, which we all know helps our citizens and helps our town, helps our property value. So thank you for doing that. And with that, that closes my mayor's report. Be safe, everybody.
Yeah, Mary wanted me to remind you, Mayor, about Mother's Day coming up on Sunday.
She is so good. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, so with that, we'll move on. And next is Beautification and Parks and Rec Commission. Councilmember Munder, go ahead, please. We're not hearing you, Carl.
Oh, sorry, my fault. I've got a mute button on my headset here.
Start over with your Happy Mother's Day comment.
Well, happy Mother's Day, first off, to all the wonderful mothers that are out there. So, as I was saying earlier, there were no beautification or parks and recreational meetings due to the COVID, and no meetings were held. But I would like to mention a couple things here during my time. As the weather get nice and the people start using the many beautiful parks of Mount Airy, as the mayor says, please remember to social distance while using the parks. And if you're looking for two of the parks to walk, of course, there's Watkins. And then there's also the Windy Ridge Nature Trail that leads over to the East-West Park, which is accessible off of the East-West Park entrance off of Prospect Road. So those are two beautiful parks in town to enjoy the nice weather and walk, but please keep your distance from one another while you're out there. And also I would like to mention that the Carroll County Public School System has started up the food distribution for lunch, for meals at Pars Ridge daily from 11 to 1. This helps all the kids in town, and you do not have to be registered at the school to take advantage of it. You just show up with your child, or a parent and guardian shows up at Pars Ridge Monday through Friday between 11 and 1, and they will give you a free meal, which I have partaken. My daughter and I have gone there a couple times, and they are very good meals for her. They're full of food. They're not skimping on anything. It will tie people over to the next day. And this is for everybody in town. So please take advantage of it. Thank you.
All right, and next up is Economic Development and the Planning Commission. Councilwoman Reed.
Yep, so Planning Commission met on Monday, April 27th. At that meeting, they gave a conditional approval of a concept site plan for the Chick-fil-A to be potentially built at 1705 Ridgeside Drive, which is the location of the Pizza Hut. They also voted on 2020-1, which is the proposed amendment creating MXD. They did give a favorable recommendation to Town Council to pass that ordinance. The next Planning Commission meeting is on May 18th. The location is to be determined. I would assume that would also be a Zoom meeting. The Economic Development Commission met on April 22nd. Most of that discussion related around how the Economic Development Commission could help or partner with local organizations to help our businesses through COVID-19. They have a couple of ideas in the works, including creating I believe a small business Saturday event in downtown and throughout the entire town of Mount Airy. So more information to come on that. Carl, you may want to speak on this, but BGE's Pay It Forward program, which is the program that could potentially help us get a gas line on Main Street, was finally heard by the Public Service Commission. Councilman Munder did give testimony on behalf of Mount Airy at that commission. Basically, it's under review right now with final comments pending. But Carl, you might be able to speak a little bit more on behalf of what the testimony that you gave or how that Public Service Commission meeting went.
Okay. The Public Service Commission meeting went fine. The testimony I gave was basically the town would love to see the gas line extended to help businesses, particularly the rail yard and the old bank building. I focused on the bank building, saying that it is a historic piece of property that is currently up for sale, and the gas line would help us tremendously having that building sold and redeveloped to a way that would benefit the town. Also, it would help out businesses come to town and stay in town that want to stay to in the downtown area. And other than that, that's what they decided on, as you said, was to take everything under advisement. It's under consideration. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, they'll give a ruling on it.
Yeah. So as everyone knows, we, meaning the town, as well as EDC and even MAMSA, have been working with BGE very closely trying to get this gas line to the downtown area. We believe that sort of economically it will help our future as to the revitalization in downtown. So we will keep you posted. EDC will meet again on May 27th at 7 p.m. Again, the format is to be determined, whether it's in person or via Zoom. And a little fun note, the Junior Task Force has not met since we shut down because of COVID-19, but they are actually going to have their first Zoom meeting on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So if there's anyone in the community that has a little one that would like to join in on the Zoom meeting, we'd love to have you. We're going to play some games with the kids and sort of keep them engaged so that they don't forget what their mission is. And that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you so much. Next is the Sanitation and Recycling and Mount Airy Sustainable Commission, Councilmember Poirier.
Thank you, President Hushour. I appreciate that. Big news for this weekend, and pretty much what everybody has been waiting for, is bulk pickup. So bulk pickup is this Saturday. Each household is allowed 2 items per resident. And I just want to kind of go over very briefly some items that have special instructions, and they include refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, dehumidifiers, humidifiers, grills, mowers. A lot of those have special instructions to make sure that Freon has been removed from those items, as well as any gas or oil. So if you're looking at putting any of those larger items out on the curb for J&J to pick up, please make sure that those special instructions have been followed. They are taking many other acceptable items. I just want to go over just a small history of items that are not being accepted. Construction and building material are not being accepted. Propane tanks, cardboard, paper, books, tires, batteries, yard waste, concrete material, paint, fencing, gasoline, oil, hazardous waste, and household trash, bags of clothes, and automotive parts. Mattresses and box springs are not being accepted. The reason for that is a lot of those items can be recycled, but they also need to be disposed of properly, and this is not one of those times to put those items out on the curb for bulk pickup. Additionally, on May 16th is another yard waste pickup day, so please go ahead and make sure that as the weather is nicer and residents are going outside and completing some yard waste, that those bags get out on May 16th. One last related item for the bulk pickup is if the residents want to start putting items out on Friday, that is fine. We know that historically that we have some pickers that come through town. And then you are also able to put out more items as though those items do get picked up. The town does get a rebate for those recycled steel items and aluminum that can make it to the recycling centers. So the town does get a rebate on that. So we do kind of miss out on those and with the pickers coming out. But to help you out and put out more items, then Friday is okay, and you won't be violating any ordinances for that. And other than that, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you so much. Next is Streets and Roads Commission, Councilmember Washabaugh.
Yes, we have not had a meeting last month. We actually are going to be having one on Thursday, May 14th. So at this point, it looks like we'll probably be over Zoom as well. So everybody is welcome at 7 o'clock to tune in to that. And that basically is it. However, I was given extremely useful information just before the meeting that at the corner of 27 and North Main Street, the light is finally operational. So you'll be able to be very safe when you come up to that intersection now. And we also were discussing if there were speed cameras that were set up there, because there's actually cameras right by the light, but it appears as though that is going to trigger whether or not you're going to be like sitting at the light, say, late at night, and it will basically trigger the light that somebody's there. So you're not sitting there for a long period of time. So other than that, that's all I have for Streets and Roads, and hope to see and hear from you on May 14th.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, next is Water and Sewer Commission, any special projects? That's myself. And the good news is we're going to have a Water and Sewer Commission meeting this week on May 6th. I think Barney Quinn is going to get his feet wet on running a meeting for us. So that'll be nice to get in there and see the rest of the Water and Sewer Commission on Zoom this week. The other note that is out there is that I was informed by Mary Van Meter that she's getting several phone calls about the water bills not making it into the residents' hands, and she had to call into the post office to try to figure that out. But if you're not sure what your water bill is, you'll need to call Town Hall and find out what it is. Let's see, they were sent out on April 15th, and do realize that there are no late fees this quarter. So you should be okay on that. And if you are enduring some sort of a hardship because of COVID or something, please call and let us know what the problem is. And I'm sure the mayor and staff will work with you to figure out how to get your bill paid, but not to stress or overstress you because of your water bill. So, and that's all I have for my report. And now we're moving down to Town Administrator David Warrington. Do you have anything to report?
Just I'd like to thank the staff for working remotely. This isn't normal, but I think they're doing a great job keeping up with things. And if we can do something better, please feel free to call us and let us know. The only other good news I have is that the state did approve a very small grant we had applied for public art and a vision plan that the staff's going to be working with the Mt Airy Arts Alliance to try to pull something together for some potential public art. And this is just a vision plan. And once we get past that, then we get into the meat and potatoes of putting ink brush to canvas or whatever we're going to do for some public art within the town of Mt Airy. Oh, you're muted, Larry.
I'm sorry, I was giving you and Tom McCarron some extra kudos for actually wearing a tie to the meeting, and we're not going to make you stand up though.
No.
All right, next we have the town attorney report, Tom McCarron.
Sure. Since the last meeting, worked on the MXD quite a bit. In fact, attended the last planning commission meeting for that purpose. Prepared the water and sewer resolution that you all passed tonight, and have been providing quite a bit of advice on various things that are permissible or not permissible, as the case may be, under the governor's executive orders regarding the COVID-19 state of emergency. And then lastly, worked actually quite a bit on the sex matter, and I'll fill you all in writing on that. So.
Okay, do we need to go into a closed meeting this evening?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, all right. Okay, that sounds good. Let's see, code enforcement report. Everybody, copy is accessible to you if you desire to look at that. We are not going to have a closed meeting. I'm going to hold up the sign that my wife made for me that says, "Wish all the moms a happy Mother's Day." Okay, so Sunday's Mother's Day, don't forget it. And go out there and buy some garden plants or something, and have a happy Mother's Day. We sure appreciate all the moms in town of Mount Airy. I'm sure everybody got the thumbs up on that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, with that, we'll do a roll call vote on a motion to adjourn. And would someone like to make that motion?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second? Councilwoman Washabaugh, okay, and Councilmember Munder. Aye or?
Oh, aye.
Councilmember Poirier?
Aye.
Councilmember Washabaugh?
Aye.
Councilmember Reed? She's muted, but we know what she means.
Yes.
Sorry, aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye as well. Appreciate everybody joining us. Hopefully in June, please let us meet in person. If it doesn't happen, we'll be back here on Zoom, okay? Everybody have a good night. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.